Make shit happen! Welcome to the Make Shit Happen show. Today our guest is Jessica Hatch. Jessica, how are you doing today?
I am awesome. How are you?
I'm doing well. You know, it's good to finally connect with you. Mutual friend of ours connected us.
Yes.
Cruz
Mr.
Gage.
Cruz, yeah.
Yes. Cruz was my guest over here. He had a great show.
I know. He sure did. Like, he was just really living it up over here. It looks like he had a better time than you. It was like, he's,
Cruz is, he has a great personality. So
he does. And his accent, isn't that fun?
I love his accent.
You look at him and you're like, where are you from? It's like, it's confusing for a minute,
It is. The first time I met him, I was like, what kind of accent is that?
I know. And there's not, like, I think he might be the only South African looking Middle Eastern man I know in Houston. You know what I mean? He like has like kind of a combination of looks. And he's good looking, so it's working for him, right?
Yeah, that always is a plus, right? So Jessica, tell me a little bit about you. First of all, how did you meet Cruz?
Yeah, so Cruz and I actually met through Altus.
Okay.
So I've gone to the Altus Foundation gala event 5 years now.
Okay.
So he was hosting it for the last 4. This is probably the first year that he wasn't.
Did you go to this last one?
Mm-hmm.
How was it?
I did.
Did you hear Flo Rida?
Yeah, I know. That was crazy, right?
Well,
But
I didn't go. I didn't get a chance to go. I had some other engagements.
really, yeah.
Did he sing the apple bottom jeans?
He did, yeah. It was, I mean, perfect for Houston, right?
Yeah.
The crowd, and I mean, anytime you bring like a rapper into Houston, everybody gets excited 'cause we have so many that started here.
You know the song, right? Them apple bottom jeans, boots with the fur.
Yeah. That was a song that all of us girls loved. Yeah.
That's good. You know what? That brings some memories. That song.
Oh yeah. What
Yeah,
kind of
even though I don't
memories?
have good memories. Great memories. How about that?
Yeah.
Even though I don't have a singing voice, but I can sing that song.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, you know what? We had a Christmas party on Sunday, and I was doing a lot of singing.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Was it? I mean, do you actually sound good?
No.
Okay.
I sound terrible. I just have a talking voice, not a singing voice for sure.
Yeah.
So you met Cruz through Altus. I mean,
I did, yeah. So I think I met him at maybe one of the first galas because him being like the host, like which he did a fabulous job. He's not currently doing it, and then just out and about, like he's a mover and a shaker, and we had met a few times just for business purposes as well because he did a lot of their business development for the Altus like hospital system. So we met, just to do business together and make other introductions.
And you're in healthcare, right?
Yes, I am.
And I read about you. I kind of did my research on you.
Good for you.
That you've been in healthcare since 2009.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, October of this year was a full 10 years.
Wow. Great.
Yeah.
A whole decade.
I know.
That's great.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
Just flew by.
Tell me and our listeners something about you.
Yeah, so it relates to healthcare or?
No, 2009. Yes, since 2009.
So crazy enough, I moved out to LA, not to pursue healthcare. Obviously, that would be backwards, right? Going from Houston to LA for healthcare, this is where it's at. But no, I moved out there, chasing some dreams with the acting bug and some things that had kind of happened for me in Houston and just made me want to make the move. But it wasn't 5 months in. I mean, things were moving along, got my, SAG vouchers and was SAG eligible. So it was going good, but I got an opportunity to work with a company out of Santa Monica. And the opportunity was to recruit not only hospitals and surgical centers in rural areas to take on like their radiology needs. But then after we got the contracts, we would then go on further and actually recruit the radiologists that they needed. So it was a pretty unique first opportunity in healthcare, I would say. And I think that's why I stuck with it, even though I was out there for something different. But that gave me the opportunity to travel like all around the United States and meet with, the CFOs or the radiology directors. So it was immediately kind of meeting with C-levels. And then from there, it was the doctors to be recruited, right? So, I became very, I don't know, ballsy is the word, but I wasn't afraid to talk to anybody in healthcare, like just out the gates because of that opportunity. So I mean, I continued with them for some time, and then eventually I just knew if I'm not going to be in acting and that sort of thing, like I might as well come back to Houston where healthcare is very prominent and I can expand my career here. So that's kind of, it was the foot in, but then circled back here.
So you went over there for acting to pursue a career in acting. Did you get any gigs or?
Yeah, I mean, I did. So, I mean, probably the biggest thing is like Couples Retreat, that movie with Vince Vaughn. But again, it wasn't like a principal role, but I mean, we were on set for felt like 48 hours. I mean, I'm sorry, 2 days straight. Well, yeah, that's 48 hours.
48 hours.
Oh, God. Yeah, it was like forever. And for like the East Eden scene, if you've ever seen Couples Retreat, it's like the island where, they all go, the singles island.
Yeah.
But, and I was in a bikini the entire time, like if you can imagine. And it's like a ton of us like just hanging out by a pool. But that was probably like one of the most like, famous movies. Everything else I did was commercial related. So some different, I don't know, printing companies, and then some stuff with fitness, but History Channel, you get a lot of different opportunities when you get out there. It's not just like obviously all movies, all this. So you go on auditions and whatever works. But I would say, and this is all honesty, when I moved to LA, it's always like, okay, you might not be the most beautiful, the best actress or whatever it is, but like, I feel like if it's supposed to happen, like God will open the door that no man can. And that's truly when I left, I was 26, a little bit typically older than when you move out there to chase, that dream. But I was like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I shit you not, it was happening. But then I met my ex-husband and he was like, I'm taking you out of this industry. It's like too male dominated. And that's when I jumped into healthcare, like
gotcha.
Really quick.
Are you happy that you jumped out of that?
Well, now that I where I'm at and I've got, my Hatching for Health show, it's kind of like I'm creating my own reality. Right. And just, for the most part, not producing it. I've got people doing that, but at least I'm able to, do something I'm passionate about, which is, related to television, but also have the aspect of helping. So I don't like look back and regret, what happened. I'm still young and there's still like, so much that I can do, in that world.
Definitely. So tell us, you said Hatching for Health show. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
So the Hatching for Health show, it's been about 1.5 years now that I've had it. I've filmed 6 episodes in a studio in my office. And then now I'm going to be doing a series of 12 with NTV Houston, which is something that we just basically signed, and we'll get started basically coming up the end of this month, our first episode. But what it is, it's a show for children to come on with their parents, typically because it's much younger children, some not even able to speak yet, to talk about what disease, disorder, or disability they were born with, and to help create awareness, for them with hopes of finding cures. So there's a lot of, whether it's genetic or just, a common disease, there's like 7,000 rare diseases out there that have not, basically had a cure. And so there's just so much that needs attention. And there's a lot of the, not typical, but there's a lot of diseases that people are more familiar with, that get a ton of like support with charities, but then there's the rare that get left behind. And so this show, we do support, the common, but also the more rare as well, and give those opportunities to have a platform and, to share their story, and with hopes that we can, find help.
So like what are some of the common diseases?
So we have the few that I've had, proxia of speech, Crozone syndrome. I've had a child with riboflavin deficiency disease, Ehlers-Danlos. So you probably have maybe heard of like one of those, right?
Well, two of them.
Okay, yeah. And then I have one little girl that there's like no diagnosis yet, and she's I think she's 10 years old now, and she's got a twin sister, and the twin sister was born perfectly healthy, but she, is not. So she has not even received a diagnosis yet. So we just kind of brought her on, talked with various specialists. So usually what I'll do is we'll have the child and the parent, but then after we've gone through kind of their story, I'll bring on a doctor that specializes in that particular field. So if it's like neurological, then I'll have a neurosurgeon. If it's the one like the Ehlers-Danlos, I brought on a someone that is more familiar with like cystic fibrosis, like a rheumatologist, you know. So I usually just, you know, through my relationships in healthcare, I give them a call, let them know, and they can do a little bit of their own research. But a lot of times they're seeing patients that have these, just maybe not children, but they know the depth of like, you know, what this disease relates to and how they can, you know, give a little bit of encouragement and advice.
So, I mean, you know, look like you're doing all kind of angles, and it must have taken a lot to build these relationships with these doctors and specialists, because you know, from a chromosome disease to getting a what is it called, rheumatologist, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a whole bunch. I mean, you're like all over the place.
Yeah.
So how long did it take for you to build these relationships with these doctors?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, you know, if you look back 10 years ago, it was California related. Those particular doctors, I don't, you know, really have any dealings with. They were predominantly radiologists, but I would say probably the last 6, maybe 7 years, the same doctors that I knew then, I know today. And I've built strong rapport with them. You know, they respect me as a business person, and, you know, whatever business we've done together, it's been successful. And so when I come to them and say, hey, look, you know, I need you to help me now. Like I've, you know, serviced you for, you know, MRIs, getting you credentialed at the surgical center, supporting, you know, what you need, but can you help me with this show? I just need like an hour of your time. If you can come on and talk to this family, you know, about your experience with this, maybe not directly, but indirectly. And so they'll just do a little bit of research, and they're more than happy and willing to come on and talk. You know, even with the show being, you know, not at a huge level yet, they, you know, it's not like it's, hey, you're going to get all this exposure. It's like, hey, it will be recorded. You can utilize it on your website or whatever platform you have. But most importantly, it's just like, we are helping these children. And so they're always willing to be a part of it. It's very, you know, very fortunate. And I was surprised.
So
you know,
a lot of
it's
them
not
are
the
receptive
easiest.
to it.
Yeah. I mean, and you're talking like
I mean, that surprises me.
neurosurgeons to, you know, the family practice doctors. Every episode has had a doctor. Like, so the 6 I've done, you know, they've all had a specialist on. Yeah. And so we'll go on. I'll tell you about something in a little bit.
No, that's perfect. So, but I know that you started in 2010, you know, you were working as a assist med. You were doing home health care, right? And then in 2011, you were director of marketing for, you know, a surgery center. Tell us a little bit about the early career before you started your show, and how you built relationships with these doctors and neurosurgeons and stuff. If you don't mind, I mean, I would like to know a little bit about that.
Yeah. So when I left California, come back to Houston, I slowly kind of, that relationship continued on, like with the radiologist that needed to be recruited. So it was probably a good, I don't know, 4 or 5 months before we completely like split ties. But I will say, in a way, I took a little bit of a step backwards when I came back to Houston, because home healthcare is great, right? Unless you own the home healthcare company, though, you're not going to, you know, be at where I'm at today. So I worked for a great organization, AssistMed, a Nigerian couple that were extremely knowledgeable, and I learned so much from them. But with what I was doing, I was calling on specifically internal medicine, family practice, assisted livings, you know, nursing care, you know, because it's a population that's Medicare, you know, generated. So you're talking about 65 years or older. And so I wasn't going to like this, you know, the surgeons or the subspecialists that had, you know, different types of degrees. So the point is it was good for marketing. Like I grew in my, you know, marketing capabilities, but until I took on that director role with the surgical center, I didn't really, you know, spread my wings and I kind of create some of those really strong relationships that have got me now to where I'm at, you know?
So your job was basically business development.
Correct. Yeah. I had a few different interventional pain doctors that I would basically go around and market, that were all credentialed at that surgical center. And then next to that, we had a imaging arm. So I would also market for MRIs and stuff as well.
Where did you go after that?
So it's really neat. So that company, I actually had 2 bosses.
Okay.
I had 2. One was actually an a pain doctor that had retired, and the other is just a really amazing businessman, Raul Dewan. And Isan Shanti were the two. So they basically said, hey, we're going to hire you both, and we're splitting your salary, and we want, you to market pain and surgery, and we want you to market imaging. And I was like, you guys are crazy, but okay. So they literally were like two bosses, and one of them they're both extreme micromanagers. One of them wanted to report like every day to where I saw 15 doctors and like a quick blurb on exactly like the outcome, which 15 is not, crazy amount, but it wasn't like you can't go in one building and see like, 15. He's like, you need to be like moving, right?
Yeah.
So, he was like that, looking into it. And then the other guy would meet with me at this little coffee shop, and he would go over in person all the pain people I visited, and he would be like, okay, what are the next steps? Like, so it was like the most hands-on, like with two bosses I've ever experienced. But
you wanted to make sure you're working.
My God. But we made stuff happen. Like, I'm telling you, that was like the best thing I could have ever experienced. And I think I've always been like, a really hard worker.
Stuff happen.
But the shit happened.
Just like make shit happen in this show.
Yeah. Like they were just like,
That's why you were perfect for the show. You made stuff happen.
I know, right?
And we on the make shit happen.
Yeah. Yeah. So the two of them, I would basically like, really kind of put my career at like another level, I would say. They
basically instilled the work ethic in you that you have today. Is that fair to say?
I think they helped improve upon
Develop
it. It's like exactly. It's like it was there, but then, they gave me, kind of a baseline of like how it should work, if you're going to get to like, here to here fast, if you want to, just.
How long did you work for them?
So it was about a year and a half. And then at that point is when I started my own company in 2012. So like,
Tell us about
point
that.
being, it's, I ended up moving on to do my own thing after like all of their advice and, so 2012, I opened Infinity Diagnostics LLC, which, was set up as a scheduling company to contract with imaging centers and surgical centers. So I would go out and do the same thing, generate that business. But now, I was acting as a broker capacity. So my margins were much greater on what I could make versus, just being paid like a flat salary by somebody. But when I got when I opened that company, I had to go around and create contracts with imaging centers like all over the place. So I still have like 28 of those agreements in place. So yeah, so I did that for, I don't know, like I guess maybe 2 years until I don't know what you have on the sheet over there. But I did that for a while. And then all of a sudden I had this gentleman, he was running this company, but taking on a position as a CFO of a hospital chain. And he came to me and was like, look, he's like, I'm getting offered the CFO role here. I really want you to take on this company that I have, but it's 100% surgery related. You're going to deal with specialists from gastroenterology to bariatric to spine, ortho, like every specialty you will become familiar with. And you're going to travel Houston, Dallas, and Scottsdale and grow the business. And you're, going to grow it as much as you can. So I basically kind of took over his role and became the managing partner of that company. And I think that was like 2000, I don't even know.
Late 2013?
Yeah, I think so. So like I had my scheduling company that I own, right? So I told him.
So the Infinity Diagnostics, you still owned. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then you were contracted with this leveraged receivables management.
Yeah. So he was like, I said, look, I have this company. And he's like, I know, but that's how you get the business to grow what I have. So it's fine. He's like, as long as you devote, X amount of time, like we'll make it work. And that was a contracted position. So, I was being paid not in a W-2 capacity where like my time was controlled, but as long as I made shit happen and grew it, then he was cool. He was fine with like my other business being on the side. And so I did just that. And we grew from, I think it was 103 funding partners to 200. So I basically
doubled it. 200
doctors, contracted with me under leverage receivables management in those 3 different, major cities.
And how long you did that for?
Like maybe 2 years. It went on for a while.
So
and,
let me ask you this, when you started in 2010, you're still, you're still very young. So 2010, you just coming out of LA, getting all this stuff done. I mean, what was the ultimate goal? I mean, where did you get that hustle from? I mean, having these two doctors constantly micromanaging you, starting your own business in 2012, and end of 2013, going and getting contracted with this other fellow with the leverage receivable management.
Yeah.
Growing that business from 103 to 200, doubling basically whatever it was. So, I mean, doubling, I'm sure more than double the revenue. Where did you get that? I mean, where did that fire come from? Where did that hustle come from? What was the goal? What was the motivation? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think just from a young age, I mean, both my parents, they kind of grew up middle class, right? They are entrepreneurs, but just not, in a huge way. They've kind of lived very moderately. But I know that they definitely have that spirit. My father's like a contractor, just build homes and cabinetry and all of that. And then my mother's been a massage therapist. But those are independent entrepreneur type individuals, right?
Exactly.
Whether or not they're like, millionaires or where they're at. My brother's the same way. He's got his own business. But I think as an athlete, I think that is so huge. I mean, I started playing sports at 8 years old. I played, summer ball. And then when I started playing volleyball as well, I would do club. I mean, there wasn't like a day that went by where I was not like playing a sport, competing, having a coach tell me what to do, how to improve, having a team around me where you're competitive. You know what I mean? It's like, there is something like so important about that competitive. If you want your child to, be that kind of personality, if you're not too concerned, then, but, for me, I would immediately put my children in sports when I have them, but it's something that, I think started just kind of that aggressiveness with me and competitiveness. Because if you look at kind of from a child, like playing all those sports, and then I got scholarships. So basically college was paid for, volleyball and softball, split scholarships. And then I finished, and then I joined a flag football league, and then I did WWE Diva search. I don't know if you looked up that stuff. So that was like,
well, no, we don't know about that.
That was a whole nother.
I got to ask about that one.
I'm surprised you didn't find that.
Carlos, you're fired.
Yeah. So it was just constantly like, wanting to compete, right? And then when you take away all those like legitimate competitions from like, sports to bikini stuff to fitness modeling, all that, then you're like, okay, what do I do? Like, and I was like, okay, I have to just compete in business. I want to be the best of the best. Like I want to be, the most successful woman in healthcare in Houston, but I also want to help a shit ton of people around me and then do a foundation, like it's not, there's no greedy side to me, period. Maybe when it comes to like borrowing clothes with friends, because I'm particular. Everything else, like I'm so like, you don't want no one to borrow your clothes. Someone calls me, they need something, like if I can help them, I'm going to help them, and not always to expect to get anything back, right? Like sometimes it's like, don't even worry about paying me back. Like if you have to, loan somebody that needs it, it just kind of write it off.
I got your phone number. I'll make sure I'm calling.
It's like, it's but yeah. So the answer to your question is just the sports. I think was really.
You think so? So you telling me that because of your sports background, your upbringing in being in that competitive sports that you grew up with, that basically gave you the competitive edge. Like, hey, I want to be the best. When I'm in business, I want to be the best. When I want to do this, I want to be the best. I want to win. I want to go for the gold. Basically, that's what you're saying.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I want to talk about your foundation. You said you touched the foundation thing. I really want to talk about that. More than that, I want to talk about the WWE. But let's keep going over here first. So we can do one thing. So 2013, you're in that, you get to that leverage receivables. You worked with them for how long again? You said a year or 2 years?
So about 2 years. Yeah.
What happened in 15 or 16?
So the hospital that it was actually, it's called Nobilis. They're now kind of done. They recently went bankrupt, but they owned like hospitals and surgery centers in those three markets. And so we had a contract in place for a really good percentage of shared revenue, right? And it was a great deal. They came and they changed it, like they lessened it 15%, which was a huge problem.
Yeah.
It actually, believe it or not, out of like 200 people working with me, maybe only 10 fell off. So it didn't change it enough to like lose the business. But then they came back again and they said, okay, because it was a factoring program that I ran, right? They're like, not only are we going to keep that lower percentage to your doctors, but we additionally now we're going to increase the purchase price. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like I just cleared what y'all changed with everybody. And now I'm going to come back and say, I know you're making less for this investment, but now not only are you going to make less, but you're going to pay more. So you're going to even make less. And it was just like, so it was just two of us that ran the company, myself and Maruk, who was operations, or like more like the accounting. And we were like, this just isn't worth it. Like it got to a point. So we just kind of, the relationship just dissolved. And it was like, it was probably like, one of the best things just because like I needed to grow again, it was like, I've got to,
you want to evolve your,
yeah.
Okay. So your Infinity Diagnostic you said you still have 23 contracts with it. Is that still?
Yeah. So I still keep
today?
those contracts, but so the tail end of that leverage receivables relationship, I decided I want to open up my own MRI facility and, have it combined with a sleep lab, a pain suite for injections. And so I literally just started looking for, property. I got at the time my boyfriend was a general contractor, an architect. And so he's like, look, I'll do the build out for you. Let's just find the space. Like, he's like, I don't know why you're sending business to all these people when you can just have your own. And I'm like, well, I'll still need to send it because I'll only be able to cover a certain mile radius and my contracts extend to the Woodlands and Katy. But you're right. I need to do this. Like I need, to create, something that's actual tangible brick and mortar. So I found a location. It's right like River Oaks Greenway Plaza. It's called Infinity Diagnostic Center. It took about a year to get open and we've been open for 2 years now. And we do MRIs, pain injections. We have x-ray and then we have a 2-room sleep lab on the second floor combined with a med spa.
So that's what you have today.
I have that.
Infinity Centers United.
Mm-hmm. And Infinity Centers United is my umbrella company, but the diagnostics facility is Infinity Diagnostic Center.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you have, where is it at?
It's on Edlow and 59 right by Lakewood Church.
Okay.
Yeah. And
that's the one that your is it boyfriend, ex-boyfriend?
He built it out. He built it out. Yeah. So perfect. Which was just like, a unique situation because obviously it was like work around the clock because it's mine. I need it now. Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, it worked out. I think he kind of pushed to do that. Whereas in the past, like there was no one that kind of put that bug in me, Yeah. And now I'm working on a second location in Beaumont, way out there on the outskirts. But again, there's definitely a need and it'll make sense.
Why that far?
There's a relationship I have with a doctor out there and he's just kind of been pushing me to expand out there. Mm-hmm. He's got a large space has a ton of, unrented space within it. And so we've kind of done all the, the homework with the Entergy company and stuff. So it's definitely a doable thing. So we're just waiting on some information from different contractors.
So let's talk about your, early life. You grew up in Houston?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So you went to high school here. What high school you went to?
No, I actually went to Katy High School. Oh, okay. So I moved, I jumped around a lot when my
Katy Tigers?
Yeah, Katy Tigers.
Okay.
Yeah. So my parents divorced when I was 8. Uh-huh. And so basically the moment that happened, I was all over the place. I think I went to a different school every single year until I moved to Katy. Like from like 2 different elementaries to 2 different junior highs, to 2 different, junior high is middle school. But then when I finally got to high school, it was like all the way through, which was Katy High School. Okay. But my mom, we lived with my mom and she would just like up and move like over and over again. We were part of this, I don't even know if it's still around. It's called Home Tender Program. And you would live in like these like nice homes and make it look pretty and keep it like perfect. People would come and see it like literally every day. Mm-hmm. But then the moment it sold, you had to move. You got to move. Yeah. We were in a house for 3 weeks one time. And I was like, Mom, this is like, we were young and like mobile, but it was just like, we can't keep doing this. So, but it would move us to like different school districts, like different neighborhoods. Like I had so many like friends that I knew for like a minute. And then it's like, all right, I'm over here now. I'm over here.
Someone told me about that. There was this lady that used to work for me and she invited us to the house one time. I'm like, how can you afford a place like this? This is amazing. It was a place in Champion Forest area.
Yeah.
It was like 7,500 square feet. And I'm asking this lady, I'm like, I know you make about 40,000. I'm like, how can you afford a place like that? And she told me about this program. And I'm like, no way. She ended up living in that house because that house would not sell for like 9 months.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I think that was that's
really
not normal.
Yeah.
I think she was running everybody out of that house. She was doing something.
Right. She was, she would like.
But it was an amazing house. It was like.
So she was, basically doing something like that.
I don't know what she.
It's
so
like
she was doing.
They're like staged homes, but with people living in them to make it like
so.
even that more real for like the buyer, I guess.
Exactly. I don't know if they still exist or not exist, but yeah, it was. I mean, for her, it was pretty good. I think she paid a small rent. I think that's what you do, right? You pay a small rent or small amount.
Something like
for like property taxes and maintenance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you did that, and then you said that you had a scholarship in volleyball and softball.
Yeah.
Or Sam, and you went to Sam's.
I went to Sam Houston at the end. I actually started off. So my best sport, and this is just an athlete and me telling you this, but my best sport was softball.
Mm-hmm.
I love volleyball, but for softball, I was good enough to go to like D1 schools, right? I had an offer to go to play at the Tennessee Volunteers, which, is like a UT of Tennessee, right?
Right.
And I got recruited at a tournament, 4th of July weekend called the Firecracker. And the coach recruited me. And that's basically, I performed so well that weekend that it was like, I want you to come. It was a scholarship based on performance. So the first year was paid for. And then based on how I played, it would continue on, right? So as long as I did well, it would have been 4 years at Tennessee being a volunteer or whatever. Or that's the name of the mascot. So, but I did not go there for the reason of moving from home, and like I'm just really close with family, so I was like, I don't know that I can do that. And then kind of the I get a little bit of the unknown, like what if like something happens or I don't, So I ended up going to a junior college, and I tell you the story because I'm very proud, and I knew I could have played at a D1, but I took like and went to a JUCO. But the good thing about that was it was Galveston Junior College, so it was close to home, like 45 minutes from mom and dad. And I also got to play volleyball on I got a split scholarship, so it was 100% paid for, and got to play sports year round, right? Because they're 2 different seasons.
Yeah.
So I just played and played. I come up on the end where I get my associates, and it's now, okay, where am I going to go? I would like to go to a Texas school, and I ended up, the girl that was playing volleyball with me was recruited from Cal Baptist University. And so she was like, it'd be great if you could go there. And I was like, well, give me the coach's number. So I call them, they fly me out. I try out for volleyball and softball. I make both. So then they offer me a split scholarship. So I literally go from Galveston to California, even though I didn't want to go far, right? Riverside, California Baptist University. And I play there on scholarship, and I'm offered the full 2 years, but I got sad. And so I was like, I need to go home. Like, I miss my mom, I miss my dad. Like, it's so crazy. Like I get so sensitive when you're, I guess maybe because you're just like, it's like school, sports. And then like you all of a sudden are like, where's family, anyways. So I went home, and I looked up like the coach from Tennessee. It turned out he was at Sam Houston at this point. How odd is that? So he was recruiting me, back when before I went to GC. So he followed me, and he was like, he wanted me to come there after Galveston Junior College. But I was like, I want to go to California. This is cool. Yeah. So I didn't. So then I called him, and he's like, well, you can come play, but like, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to do a scholarship. Like your senior year, And so I walked on, played softball and volleyball and threw the javelin and played flag football. Because I was like, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I want because I'm not being paid to play. Yeah. But graduated there in 2005, and, had a ton of fun playing a lot of different things. Our flag football team won the national championship in Nebraska, which was really fun. I got all defense. So it turned out a little differently. So that last year I had to, pay for. But, I knew that I could have avoided that, but it just was the way life worked out, right? So it's like, if you notice the trend, I'm like, why don't I just stick with like one thing? It's like, move around to all these schools, all these houses, all these colleges. It's like, you wonder why I do so much shit, because I get bored so easily. Oh my gosh. Like That's why like it's hard to find a man that I don't get bored with.
That's another podcast we're gonna
yeah,
talk
right?
About.
Shit.
So tell me, what about you skipped the part of the wrestling, WWE?
Yeah. Okay. So honestly, that's why I went to LA. Okay, I tried out for the WWE Diva search in 2007, which is like 2 years after college, right? And they literally audition all over the country. I'm sorry, all over the U.S. So then they pick the top 100 girls and they fly you to California, Orange County, and then you go to Huntington Beach. So I basically made the top 100, and then we're all there. We compete for like a whole day. We do an obstacle course, like an interview round, all these things. And I ended up making the top 8. The top 8 are the ones that actually compete in the Divas search for like, the winner. And so that was just like a huge accomplishment. Like, and it was back when MySpace was cool. Yeah. And I remember I had someone like managing my MySpace for me and like replying to like, basically fans. Like literally that's a huge population of people that watch WWE. I'd be shocked.
I was a big WWE watcher.
Really? Yeah. So Eve Torres was the year I competed. She won. Yeah. And I ended up getting 4th place. So I got voted off like after. It was like the American Idol. People like basically vote for you. Like they text in. You
saw this movie that just came out recently, and they were talking about that. It was that girl, I can't remember. She wanted to be a wrestler.
Stacey, or was she actually a WWE?
Yeah.
Stacey Keebler?
No. Stacey was blonde, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Stacey was blonde. Now this girl, it was a movie all about her. Rock was in this movie too. They had a family. I mean, it was out of England, I think. It was an English family.
Okay.
They loved wrestling, and she ends up going, and I mean, she makes it.
Oh, really? So it was a movie or it was a documentary?
No, it's a movie.
Okay.
And they say it's a real story. Vince Vaughn was in this movie.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Yeah. You need to definitely check it out.
It sounds good.
I'll get you the name.
Yeah. So that like triggered kind of that, again, like a different kind of competition, right? I like the fact that there was the athletic side to being a diva, and I even went and trained at Booker T. Washington's gym, like downtown. So I was like all in. I flew to New York and was on like Maxim Sirius Radio. Like I basically like I would go wherever I needed to go to get the fans' votes. I was on like 94.5 The Buzz, like all the radio stations here, just like promoting, because it was like, if I won, it's great for Houston,
great. And I saw that when I saw that movie, I mean, you can tell that the competition is not easy. I mean, it's hard.
No, it's like it's not just like pretty skinny girls. Like you have to be fit, and have like kind of a different edge to you.
And you have to be athletic. Yeah. So definitely that's for sure. So then what happened? Yeah.
So when the Diva search like kind of came to an end, and I didn't fully win it. So
you know what? Before you move out of the away from the WWE Diva, I want to hear some inside scoop, something that happened in WWE that you can share with us that people don't know about.
Yeah. So
some inside scoop.
Oh my goodness, man, I'm trying to think of. So I wasn't like a big fan of like before. So like I know Hulk Hogan and like certain people that like the world knows, but there were some guys that I and if you named a few of them, but I literally hung out with like.
So you were in 2007. So I mean, Eddie Guerrero, I think, was still alive and fighting. Eddie. I don't know if you ever met Eddie Guerrero's wife, Stacey Guerrero.
No,
I think she lives in Houston. She was in WWE.
Okay.
What about The Rock? Tell me you met The Rock.
I didn't meet The Rock. Okay. It's because literally the competition was that full day in Huntington.
Carlos, do you know any WWE fighters that were fighting in 2007? Let's find out in WWE 2007.
I was with some of like the veterans one trip that I took, because it was like
what about Stone Cold Steve Austin?
No, I didn't get to meet like some of these legends, right?
What about you worked out with Booker T?
I did work,
gym,
Booker
so you met
T.
him?
I did meet him. Got pictures with him and stuff. If you do like Jessica Hatch WWE, there might be some pictures with some of the old wrestlers because we would go and do like little signings, like autograph signings, and some of them would be at those events, because within the time frame of the Diva Search, you're technically still like the possible winner. So people look at you like you're a diva already. And so these little kids are like, getting my autograph. And
so that experience must have been really, something. Would you change anything?
It felt natural.
would you change anything if you have to redo it? Would you go back and do the
like
Diva Search
honestly
again?
I feel like I could win it like right now.
Really?
I feel like how like some people like when you're like, oh, like I looked better younger. I feel like my maturity is like, I look back, I don't know what happened to my eyebrows. Like they were like not cute back then. Like, I've got a little bit of lip filler, that doesn't make a big difference, but I just feel like I like would have done better right now. I'm like, can I compete again right now? I swear.
Like, hey, WWE, let me come in and do a Diva Search again.
Yeah.
So you met Eve.
Yeah, Eve was like, she was the one that won that year. So,
what about Lita? Was she fighting at that time?
How do you remember these names? Good for you.
I just do.
Yeah.
Big watcher of the show.
I used to watch. I was watching. There was like this meme on Facebook or Instagram yesterday, and it was this. It was just like a story, like one of the posts, not a meme, but it was a post that Stone Cold was with Booker T, and it's like this time that Booker T was in a grocery store, and Stone Cold gets on this PA systems, and Booker T is looking at it. I'm like watching it. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it. I used to watch this shit all the time. This is so fake.
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like some of the moves that, like you see it and you're like, that's gotta hurt. But like the way that you like learn to land and like on your back and your shoulder and like jumping off, from the ring, it's just so different. Like you would think that it's like tearing your body up. It's still aggressive, but the way that the mats are, like you have to learn to like, fall appropriately. But a lot of it is very aggressive. Like when I would go train, I would have bruises like easily, but it wasn't stuff where like I felt like I was going to break my back, like the way that they make it seem.
Yeah, but I'm sure when somebody picks you up and then body slams you, gotta hurt a little bit.
I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, you definitely,
How much time did you spend training?
So I would go over there, during the Diva Search time, because I was just kind of preparing for like, if I win, like not all the girls like end up wrestling, and I was planning on going all in. Some of them just end up walking the guys out. But I probably went like, at least every day for like 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I really like, took it serious. Just being in there with him, like, Booker's huge, and just like the fact that, he's, obviously been a huge WWE like wrestler for years, and that, I can walk into a studio in Houston and like train with him. Like that was kind of unique.
Yeah, of course. What's your most memorable moment though?
Probably just like when I initially like walked in and met him with like all his like dreads and just like shook his like oversized hand. It was just like, this is like crazy. Like, of course, had it gone further, there would have been so many more of like, guys like him that would have been buddies with. But I think just kind of that initial meeting with him.
Yeah. Matter of fact, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock,
Mm-hmm.
he's somebody I admire, I look up to. So it would have been really nice if you would have stayed. Maybe you would have introduced me to him.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah. I'll get you.
Well, if Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, is listening to my show ever, let me know, buddy. Hit me up, okay?
Yes, please.
So, please, we need to get to meet you. I was listening to this other podcast the other day, and can't remember this girl, but she used to go by Superwoman. You know who I'm talking about?
It was like her nickname was Superwoman?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's Indian girl. I can't remember her name. Lily Singh, right?
Okay.
Lily Singh.
I need to Google her, yeah.
And she said something like that one day, and on her YouTube thing, and now next thing you know, The Rock is her mentor.
Oh, look at that.
And I'm like, well, how come this shit can't happen with me?
Yeah.
I need The Rock.
Right?
If you smell what The Rock is.
You
cooking.
sound like one of the hosts on like WWE, right? Yeah, like
WWE, if you're hiring, let me know, buddy. I know.
The real reason he's doing the podcast is for WWE to pick him up.
Yep. Make shit happen. All right, so then tell me, you said earlier that you have this nonprofit, a foundation.
Yes.
Tell me about that, because
Yes.
that because I love someone famous, and I don't know exactly, and I'm not quoting it verbatim. I need to look it up what this quote is, but basically it says that in life you get what you get paid, but when you make other people's life by what you give. And the foundation, a nonprofit, is just, it's all about giving. But
yeah, if you read, like, I read Joel's Word every morning, and that is the exact message on it. It's like, God will continuously put people in front of you to help, and then it's only going to help yourself. Like, and not that I go around doing it because I'm like, oh, he's going to bless me more, but it's just so true.
But it will bless you more.
The doors that open for me, like, sometimes I'm just like, that's crazy, and I'm like, why me? And then I think, well, maybe because I just did that for that person or that, it's a true thing. Like, when people, when you do for others, like, it definitely not only makes you feel better, but it also, God's going to bless you,
Definitely. What is the foundation called?
It's called the Hatching for Health Foundation.
Okay.
And it's, obviously tied to the Hatching for Health show with me, your host, Jessica Hatch. And so just to kind of like give you the background on that name. So if you think about hatching, you think of an egg, like hatching, and that's why this show is for children. So it's like hatching into better health, right? And then naturally my last name is Hatch, so it kind of goes together. But the foundation, I just got the 501c, everything done with, the IRS and all that, like literally 5 months ago. So for a while I just had the show, and I anything I do with the show, it's right now just my money feeding into it. I don't have any sponsors or anything yet. And so, but I knew for me to really grow it, I needed to actually be like a nonprofit and have like the right paperwork in place and everything. And so I did just that, so I can truly help people, because, there's a lot of people out there that, long for opportunities and something might hit home for them. And then that's when they're like, hey, I want to donate to that child I saw on your show. I think that there's, more in-depth research that can be done. So let me team up and help through your foundation. Perfect.
So basically, let's say if you bring somebody on your show, a child who has a disease or is sick or whatever they have, someone wants to donate it or any money and help them, they can help them through your foundation, Hatching for Health Foundation.
100%. And it's 100%, tax write-off for them. And it's like all going to the child. Right now, 100% goes to the children. And then if I'm doing anything like an event or something of that nature, like a portion would go to that. But I don't actually pocket anything. Right now, I just put money into it from my own business.
That's really great. And people should know about something like that, because if a lot of nonprofit organizations, there's some good ones out there, but there's a lot of them that only 60% or 65% goes to help people, or some even 50%.
Yeah.
So when you say that 100% of that is going to help that child or that person, to help them, that's something big.
Yeah.
That's huge.
No,
that's
definitely.
huge.
It's definitely, and I want to bring up a story right now, because it's currently a situation that we're trying to help a little girl. She's from the Philippines, and I got a phone call Thanksgiving week from a gentleman. He's a part of a company called Medic Corp, where they do like emergency. They go into countries that have like catastrophes, like tsunami or explosion or whatever, and they fly right in, and they're all like medically trained paramedics, and they just basically help people. They save their lives, right? And they fly in on helicopters. So they are doing a lot in the Philippines. And this little girl is someone that became close to them. And she's 10 years old, and she's got a heart condition that needs like basically surgery within 1 month. So he called me about it and was like, I remember meeting you at a medical conference. Do you still have Hatching for Health? I'm like, yes, of course. This is February of this year. And so he said, well, I don't know if you can help, but I know you have a lot of relationships in Houston, and maybe even other states. He's like, the child needs basically a cardiac thoracic surgeon to do a heart surgery on her. He's like, our biggest thing is the cost. Like, we're going to fly her there as part of Medic Corp's, basically on them. But we need the right doctor and hospital and anesthesia to either do it as a charitable case or give us a really good price point that we can then raise money for. So I'm right now basically tasked to help her. So I have like a quote from actually an Austin doctor in the works, and then one here in Houston for Children's Memorial Hospital. We do have one from Texas Children's, but it's pretty high. And so we're just basically trying to get the lowest number possible. And then my GoFundMe will go up for her. And again, 100%. So right now our highest quote's $159,000 for her surgery. I think that between the other two will fall in a little lower. But it's a life-saving surgery. Like, it's not something where she can wait till next year. Like, well, next year's around the corner, but they literally are like, you need to have this surgery this month. And her name is Esther Faith Batillo. If you look at my phone, she's actually my screensaver right now.
So if someone wants to donate, if someone is listening, someone is watching me on Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is, and they want to donate, how can they do it?
Yeah, so they basically go to the hatchingforhealth.org website, and there's like donate now tab. And I mean, they can donate right there.
And one more time, hatchingforhealth.org.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that 100% of their contribution or their donation, 100% of it will go to help Esther.
Yeah, 100% of it. So if someone, literally says, basically, I want to pay for her surgery, it's going to pay for her surgery.
How old is this little girl?
She's 10 years old. And the surgery she needs is usually done within the first year of a little girl's life. So it's a lot more risky right now, because the Philippines actually has the surgeons that should do it, but they won't take on the risk, which is the biggest, I don't know, I don't say problem, but Texas Children's would have done it under their charitable funds. But because the Philippines has a surgeon that is capable of it, they denied the case to do it as a charitable. So that's why, that's basically where things got stuck. And he called me and he's like, hey, so the GoFundMe page, I haven't launched it only because he won't actually, the MediCorp guy is like, until we have the best, I don't want you to put out 159 if we're going to get it for 99. So he's like, until we get the other quotes, then you can release it, because we don't need to ask for more than we need. Right. So, which is smart. Like, I agree, but I'm like, but at least we know Texas Children's can do it for 159. So at least we're, proceeding and making that happen. But
have you raised any money for it?
I told him personally that I'm going to put in 5,000 regardless of what happens. But, so just me personally, but no, I have not. Cause I haven't, what you're doing right now, I am super appreciative. I've not gone publicly in any way to ask, if that makes sense.
And you will.
The GoFundMe is the public way, but we want to have the exact number. I have it ready, like it's all written up, and I actually posted it, and he said, let's wait for the other two quotes.
Gotcha.
I don't want to present a number that's going to be less than we have to pay. It's like, okay. So, I literally could have the emails in my inbox from those two other facilities. But yeah, it's, where you just like feel like it's going to happen, and like you're going to be part of making, that's how I feel like. I feel like it's, it's just a matter of like getting what I need from the doctors. Cause it's like, it's the professional fee, right? It's the facility fee, and it's anesthesia. And then there's like an echocardiogram, a few other diagnostics she'll need to have, like pre-op. But one more thing I will say is, I'm going to document her whole story, right? So we're going to do like a mini documentary, Hatching for Health is, for when she like lands to her visit with the doctor, to pre-op and post-op. And so anybody involved, will be obviously shared through that documentary, which will be something beautiful to have to,
it's something that everyone, saving a child's life is
like, who
priceless.
gets a chance to do that?
It's
like
priceless.
And yeah, I'm like,
So let me ask you another thing. You're in the health and wellness industry, right? Tell us some tips that you'll share with people. And you've competed at a high level, done a lot of health and wellness stuff.
Yeah.
Have a show. Any tips you can share with our listeners or viewers?
Yeah. So I think, a lot of us know that as it relates to, just what you're trying to maintain or get to, like 70, if not 80% of it is what we eat. But I also think as it relates to just like workouts in general, like it's very important to mix it up. Like, don't, be doing the same workouts like ongoing, like do some plyometrics, some agilities, like maybe a yoga class, but just to change it up. So your body is like, constantly, just trying to keep up, and it actually will help increase muscle tone. Yeah. So I personally do like a lot of sprints. I'll do like a jog, but then I'll end it with like 10, like 100-yard sprints. So I like stuff like that. And you'd be surprised you do like things of that nature, like the plyo, the sprints, like you need less of like the long cardio and you know what I mean?
So you say you jog, long distance runner, short distance runner?
No, like I'll jog for, I will jog for like 30 minutes, but at the end of it, I'll do sprints, right?
Gotcha.
And I just feel like that makes such a difference. Like
Such a
to
difference.
kind of, tie in that and, but on the eating side, I know what to eat just from my fitness world, but
Quick question.
I do love like, a good drive-through sometimes.
Yeah.
Like,
So if there's a restaurant you should go to in town, which one do you go to? What is your go-to restaurant?
yeah. So, okay. Restaurant. Cause I was immediately thinking like run through, grab something. Cause I go to Thai Bistro all the time, like right off 59.
Yeah.
It's just easy. But as far as like sit down restaurant, I love Toulouse. I love like their crab cakes and
I've never been there.
like
Toulouse.
their salad. Yeah, it's right in the River Oaks district.
Okay.
I really enjoy going there. It's got like kind of an indoor outdoor experience. So if it's like nice weather, you get to just sit outside. And right now it's really lit up with all the Christmas stuff.
Favorite food?
Favorite food is pizza. Still pizza.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It used to be protein bars when I was like doing the fitness stuff. I was so weird. But I would get so excited about a protein bar. It was like a treat.
Really?
Anyways.
So pizza is the favorite food. What is the best pizza restaurant you like? Or you don't care? Domino's it is.
I'm like, yeah, like, I mean, Papa John's on like kind of, that side. but then
Why you like Papa John's? Because of the garlic sauce?
I think just like the crust, like everything. Oh yeah, it's just like delicious. But yeah, I used to not be like a dipper, but now I'll like doing
You
like
the dip?
ranch.
So I like Papa John's, but I like mod pizza.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
It's actually healthy too.
It's fast and they let you put whatever you want to put on there.
Yeah.
They even have gluten-free pizza.
I know, you're
So-
right. Well, and Domino's, I think most of them have a gluten-free option nowadays. Where
Yeah,
you, like,
most of them do.
can-
Jessica, when the show started, I told you it's about an hour long.
Yeah.
And you said, what? You're going to ask me about everything.
I know.
And what I tell you there will be no awkward silences, right?
Right.
Was there any?
Has it already been?
It's
Holy
been 58 minutes.
That's crazy.
You didn't believe me, did you?
No.
Did you like it?
You're too easy to talk to.
Did you have fun?
I did. No, absolutely. Like this was great.
I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for sharing us your
Yeah.
life, your journey. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And you know what? I admire you for the nonprofit organization,
Thank
the
you.
charitable foundation. One thing I want to ask you,
Yeah.
what is the ultimate goal?
The ultimate goal is to have Hatching for Health be a household name
Mhm.
and to be a national, if not international television show, something like Ellen DeGeneres or the Dr. Oz, where every day I have a new family with a new child and a new doctor coming on to talk about like what's going on and how we can help.
What are the 3 messages you would like to leave for future generation? Maybe your kids or
Mhm.
maybe for the world. What would it be?
I think I love the verse in Philippians. It's like we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of a verse I've lived by.
Mm-hmm.
I also just kind of a quote like, our body can achieve what our mind believes. I think I truly am a believer in that too. What you set your mind out to do, you can accomplish. I don't think that there's that you should put any limits on yourself, no matter what your upbringing. Just to truly like, and it's really easy to get caught up in what makes you money and what's going to get you by day to day. But I think to just devote time to like what your true passions are, like even a little bit every day, like you'll get somewhere, and then hopefully that can become your reality. What your dreams and passion is versus just what makes you money every day.
Number 3. Don't skip on me.
Oh, okay. So I also just think that, going back to just like God, I think that that's like a really big part of, it is a big part of my life. I think it's important. Even like right before we started, I would said a quick prayer. I was like,
Oh,
Lord,
good.
let this go well. Yeah. I always kind of put him first with everything I do. I'll walk into a meeting with a doctor, even if I've known him for years, like, Lord, allow the right things to happen. Allow me to say the right things to make this meeting go well. I kind of tend to do that, and it just kind of sets the ease or the tone. And it's like, if it's meant to go the way that it should, it will, because I
It will.
prayed about it, and that's kind of a way that
and
I,
you know what? Faith is really important. And I mean, I'm not gonna say what faith should anyone
Yeah.
be, but I mean, if someone believes in a higher being, I mean,
mm-hmm,
definitely faith is very important. Tips for, since you're an entrepreneur, a mover and a shaker,
mm-hmm.
With that hustle game always on your mind
Yeah.
to compete, leave some tips for some entrepreneurs, someone
Yeah.
who's thinking about, I want to start my own thing, or
Mm-hmm.
I want to be not a W-2 employee, but a contract employee or something like
Yeah.
that. Leave some tips for our listeners.
I think don't be afraid to put like the cart before the horse. That's actually typically something I do in almost everything. I think people, try and just have their eggs all lined up and just this perfect basket. And it's like, it really, the way people move these days, like you're too late. Like you just need to get out there and start, like whatever it is you're wanting to do. Like open the LLC. Like it's a simple $300 to open a company through the Secretary of State. I mean, I've opened all those doctors that I mentioned, the 90s, I opened all their companies to work through that program. But everything is much simpler than you think to just get a company opened, and then you can go from there. But don't be afraid to just like I said, kind of put the cart before the horse. And sometimes you might not have everything lined up, but just start. I think that's most important, just to start.
Okay, so that's one tip.
Oh.
Is there any other tip?
There's this one, and it's a little sheet in my drawer that this gentleman, Aladdin Sharnia, taught me. And it's like, where someone like you meet with them and they always have like good analogies and you're like, why can't I remember that? But it was this really, really good one. I'll have to text you later, but it's just, kind of it is about when you are like starting a business, like, you do need to have like, certain things lined up, right? Like you might not have like all the cash flow you need, but you do need to have some, liquidity basically. And, other things as it relates to, are you going to have partners? Are you going to do it individually? So I think kind of, putting it on paper and like, how am I going to,
Put a plan on the paper and execute, like, and then look towards it.
Exactly.
Jessica.
And you wait, no, there was 3.
Oh, there's 3. Oh, you want one more tip? Okay, let's go. I didn't put a number, but let's do it.
No,
hey, I'm all ears.
I just like, no. So I think also just be careful like who you do business with, because I have, I don't want to say made the mistake, but I partner up with people like left and right. Like someone's like, because I get excited. Like I like starting new things. So someone like has an idea and I'm like, yeah. And I'll like run off and open a company with them. And then I'm like, oh, what do I do? So I think like if you can do things on your own, like, I mean, the less partners you have, sometimes is better. Like kind of figure it out first and then, look at, okay, maybe the next company, because you want to see what you can do individually before, you kind of lean on other people and, just make the most of what you're capable of.
So to sum it all up, sometimes later becomes never. Do it now.
Yeah.
It's the company you keep, so it's the partners you keep.
Yeah.
And too many hands in the stew. Too many hands spoils the stew.
Yeah. There you go.
Hey, there you go. So you know what? I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
This was fun.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it,
Definitely.
And
so The Rock come through.
If you smell what The Rock is cooking. One more thing. How can people find you? If they want to find you, they want to see, they want to know who you are. We know Hatching for Life.
Hatching for Health.
Hatchingforhealth.org.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How can they find you on Instagram or Facebook?
Yeah, so my full name is Jessica Dawn Hatch, and that's what my Instagram is, Jessica Dawn Hatch.
DAWN.
DAWN, yes.
Jessica Dawn Hatch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so, like I have that Instagram, and then my other companies will probably pop up, but I've got the Hatching for Health Instagram as well.
What about Facebook?
In Facebook, it's Jessica Hatch. And
are you public or are you private?
I'm public now with all of it. Yeah.
Okay. So Jessica Hatch on Facebook and Jessica Dawn Hatch
on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. LinkedIn.
LinkedIn Jessica Hatch. Yeah.
Awesome. So here y'all have it.
Yeah.
Powerful, inspiring messages from Jessica Hatch. Jessica, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.